This is the J.R. Hendrick Texan Gentleman podcast that deals with the early life of my alter ego, J.R. Hendrick. This episode is in a narrated format, commentary by myself and J.R. Relax and enjoy the adventure. Take care. God bless. Hello, everybody. This is a narrated format. The release date for this is November 24th, 1995. What was the top song for November 24th, 1995? The number one song I want to say, Check Yes or No by George Strait. Looks like it was, it beat out Fantasy. And yet, top movie. What was the top movie for November 24, 1995?
Here is information from the numbers.
The top movie was called Top Story. Strange, I don't think I've ever seen this, but there's a lot of them that have been out there. Ace Ventura, Where Nature Calls. I heard about that. I think around that time I was watching Dumb, and at Thanksgiving I was watching parts of Dumb and Dumber with a cousin. I wasn't too impressed with it. I wouldn't be either. Okay, so Thanksgiving Blues, it's pretty obvious what's going on here. We continue where we left off. It's obvious to me Betsy has passed away. Okay, so also around that time also was the government shutdown, which ended at November 19th, which has some relevance to this story. But as we all know, things happen the way they do. Anyway, it's 3 o'clock a.m. Sheriff Mike Baxter arrives at the ranch to talk to Betsy. She's in the living room, shaking and crying. Miss Betsy, if you could, please explain what happened, Sheriff Baxter said. I don't know. I was just sleeping. Then I heard that awful flatline, Betsy said. My back was turned for 5 minutes. That's what Lady Betsy asked me to do. I wish I never had, Rachel the night nurse said. Betsy, Rachel, it's not your fault, Jim said. Can somebody just please tell me what the hell's going on here? Christine said. Grandma passed away this morning, Kyle said. Rachel said she was drinking grapefruit juice. Something when she was on chemotherapy the doctor said she couldn't have. And she loved it so much. She had to have a glass at nightstand. Had a nightstand when she died, as he said. I want you to take her to Suncrest Memorial in Warfield, Jim said. That way you can do the thing. I better call Mike and Mary, round up the family. Mike! Deputy Sheriff Nicholas said. Midland County ME met us at the back steps. At first glance, this test is a suicide. She removed her own pick line. Sheriff Baxter came back from the foyer. Mr. Hendrick, I don't know how to tell you, but Mrs. Swain's death is most likely going to be declared a suicide. No way in hell, Kyle posted. Suicide is beneath a Swain. Kyle, I don't like you this season. Hard not to like him hard to like him at this particular time. Let's give him the bail. I understand he's grief-stricken, but it needs to learn. And the sheriff says, Mr. Dustin, I'm asking you to calm down. We don't want any trouble. We know your grandmother was a chemotherapy patient who went through it for 8 years. Very few of us here tonight know what was going on through her mind. After Thanksgiving, I will ask you guys some questions. 6:30 a.m. JR wakes up and begins reading a book on tape. It's Prophet by Frank Peretti. You know, it's the same time. I was doing this one thing with my grandma. Listen to that same thing. Today he was going to get cinnamon rolls at the snack bar and begin his research on judicial reform. 9 a.m. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, the Midland County medical examiner came to speak to Betsy and Jim. Look, I don't have any other way of telling you guys this, but the cause of death was exsanguination, Dr. Eagleton said. It was suicide, Jim said. I can tell my daughter anyway, but I mustn't tell my boys. I want you to make arrangements to have her taken to Ellis Funeral Parlor. Charge it to the Living Trust account accrued of Andrew Swain. So that's how it is with Mama, Betsy said. You're right. I must find a way to tell JR about our passing. But he can never know I would just say it was cancer that took her. 1 p.m. JR had done a little bit of researching and a little bit of cleaning and had a little bit of lunch before returning to his room to work on some more research. He's trying to avoid the obvious, but even the staff at Sneed Hall and the Crockett House dining room could tell the look on JR's face that something was really wrong. 3 p.m. Grandma Mary, Carl, and Donna arrive with Max to console Jim and Betsy. Jessica would be at the ranch on Monday in time for the funeral on Tuesday. 6 p.m. At the Holy Spirit Club, everyone can tell that JR is not there. He hasn't even stepped by all day. Something very unusual for him. He told you guys, we should have just invited him on the couple's night. Put him and Kristen together. Enjoy pizza. Nobody told me it was. Did he get like this? Stoney said. All I know is I looked at him over lunch yesterday, and he looked awfully sad, Brent said. Listen, guys, calm down. He's probably studying. He's got a major paper due next week. He's got a lot on his plate. I don't think it has anything to do with Karen. It has to do with something else in his life. But I'll talk to him Sunday, C.B. Coleman said. At least he didn't abscond like he did that weekend, that drunk binge weekend with Charlie. I'll see Ken McDonald sometime Sunday afternoon. I'll talk to him, Connie said. 9 p.m. JR in his dorm room finishing cleaning when the dorm telephone rings. It's Betsy. Mama, how are you? JR said. What are you going to be doing in the next few days? Well, I'll meet my friend of mine after lunch tomorrow to go to the library to study. Do some research. I have to write this speech on judicial reform. Go through my classes and come home Wednesday. Wow, what's going on? I just want to know what you're going to be doing for the next few days. JR, that question would bring hollow in my old ears. And I would sit there and talk to Kevin for a couple hours until I could calm down. Okay. Back to reality. November 19th. I found it for JR. He had slipped in. He was dressed in some warm clothes and getting ready to go to lunch. When he gets a knock at the door, he answers, and there is Grandma Mary. "May we come in, honey?" Grandma Mary said. He could easily see that Kyle, Andrew, George, along with Madison, was there. "Sure, y'all come in. I'm surprised y'all came here to see me." "This ain't no social call," Kyle said. "Find a place to sit down." JR sits down at his desk. "Haven't even know whether it's weird to say this, but Grandma Swain passed away yesterday morning. Pack your things. We come to get you." "Oh, my God, please, no." Kevin McDonald walks into the living room towards his room. "And what the hell are you doing here?" Kyle demanded. "Kyle, that's his roommate," Madison said as JR was crying over the phone to CV about his grandmother's passing. "Manners, Kyle," Grandma Mary said. "Now I know your dad taught you better than that." "Kyle, for being an idiot again?" The bell. Gonna be giving him the bell a lot this season. Okay, so it's 1:30 p.m. JR is put in the trunk of the station wagon owned by Grandma Mary, and the kids sitting at the very back, and JR sits with his grandmother. This is, I could see, was going to be a very unbearable ride back to the ranch. Back to the scene where the Swain dynasty of lords and ladies could come to an end. 3 p.m. The station wagon stopped at Dairy Queen in La Mesa. Kyle was cantankerous and angry as hell at Madison and the kids. Oh, JR, you're supposed to read it. You know, the station wagon pulls up the Dairy Queen in La Mesa. Kyle was cantankerous and angry as hell at Madison and the kids. And so I stood close to Grandma. And I wanted to talk to anybody else. Not wanting to talk to anybody else in the car. My family. I give him the bell, but wait until he says something to high school. "5 p.m. Back at the ranch, everything is a hectic mess. Betsy is making arrangements for the funeral on Tuesday morning. JR gets sympathy calls from Jim Bob and Brad. And in shock, he tells them not to come to the funeral when he meant not to come to the funeral home. 7 p.m. What happened in the next few hours was world. I broke down when I saw my grandma, and you could feel and smell the tension in the air as we all pretend to be strong. Because I seems real tense around Kyle and Mama, Aunt Donna suggested that Max take me to the pool, the ranch indoor pool, to swim it off. Grandma Mary promised that she would help Daddy look after me as Mama was too grief-stricken. 4 a.m., Kyle wakes up to get the bulls ready for a ranch hand named Taz to take them for a rodeo in Texas City. 5 a.m. JR wakes up and emails Friedrich McKay saying that he would turn in his speech today. That he was not going to be there because of his grandmother's passing. 7 a.m. French toast, eggs, and bacon are for breakfast. Springfield dining room. What do you have this morning, Jim? Betsy said. To go to the office. Jack Robertson making a call, Jim said. Can I tag along? JR asked. Don't you ask nothing, Kyle said, needling JR. You stay out of this, Kyle, Jim said. This between me and JR. JR has an office there at Hendrick Oil, and he knows that. Kyle, what's your manners? Uncle Tom said. Your grandma's funeral is tomorrow morning. If you say one word, make a scene, I will make sure that you and your father will regret it for a very long time. Whoo! Alright, Kyle gets the bill for that one. Alright, Kyle has to get the bill because this is... I'm sorry, y'all, but this is idiocy. I mean, the family is grief-stricken, and all Kyle can think about is what he wants. Narcissists are that way. 8 a.m. At the ranch, Betsy and Thomas finished the funeral arrangements. Now Betsy is watching the hands bring more livestock inside. According to the farmer's almanac she inherited from her father, 1995-1996 was to be a very bitter cold winter. 10 a.m. As JR is writing his term papers, starting with a speech on judicial reform, Jim is on the phone with Jack Robertson. Once again, we're very sorry for your loss. We're very sorry for your loss. Lucy and I will be at the funeral, Jack Robertson said. Funeral services at the ranch, Jim said. I'm thinking about taking Betsy with me back to D.C. after Thanksgiving. Just after Jim gets off the phone, a cowboy peeped into Jim's office. Sorry, did I intrude on a tender moment? Sorry, did I intrude on a tender moment here? The man said, Justin Ryder. I know you work, Justin. What do you want from me? Jim demanded. Transition. Word from Jim Stringer is Clinton is putting people on the chopping block before the election. One name could be yours. Come see me in a month, Jim says. My family's in mourning. We're expressing my regrets, Jim. Our deepest sympathy to you and your family. Now I want you to think about this. Justin Ryder is going to be a fixture in this one, okay? In this season. He'll appear again. Trust me, he will. Okay, now 1 p.m. At Hendrick Oil, JR is finishing with his political communications term paper when Brad and Jim Bob walked in. I lost my grandma 7 years ago. I lost my grandma 8 years ago. No, I lost my grandma 7 years ago, JR. All I can say is it takes time. I know that, Gerald said. How are you, man? Brad said. I think I'm barely holding up this time. My grandma's death nearly destroys me, Gerald said. Hey, you've been holding up in this office for hours. Let's go grab a burger, Brad said. JR has his term papers, Jim Bob said. Jim Bob! Always the party pooper, buddy. You've got to get the bell. You've got to get the bell. He will every once in a while in this series, I promise you, he will. Alright, 2 p.m. Betsy is signing a ledger for the ranch when Fern, her best friend, walks into the living room. What's up, my girlfriend? Fern said. Fern, I'm surprised you're here, Betsy said. Damn, Betsy. I had to. When Bethany told me, damn, the second I knew. You should get back to D.C. after Thanksgiving. I know Jim is like your rock of Gibraltar. I don't want to uproot Christine again. She's been through a lot, Betsy said. She can stay with Kyle right here at on the ranch. Fern, Kyle hasn't been all that mature lately. And I think Mama's death is only the beginning of me taking the Swain mantle. Remember when Granddad died? And Daddy and I went to Paris, Texas to get the body? Daddy said the Swain mantle and circle must never be broken. Kyle would just make it worse. Besides, just because I want Thanksgiving in Gainesville don't mean I want permanently out of here. My place is on this ranch. That's what I was told 14 years ago. And that's how it's going to stay. Wise choice. Listen to Betsy on this one. 5 p.m. JR is first one among himself and Jim to be back at the ranch as Brad and Jim Bob drop him off at the mansion luncheon. Of course, JR picks up his cell phone to call Karen. No answer. Here's where the idiot. Here's where the idiot pretends to be devastated because his girlfriend's away. Kyle said. Perhaps we better find somebody else to pick on, Forever said. Sarge and I have enjoyed your company these weekends when you came near Dallas for the rodeos. But if you're going to insult JR at a time when your grandma, Aunt Lizzie, has passed away, that's an insult. Kyle, Thomas said. That's Uncle Tom's son. Perhaps we better take this outside. Why don't you two stay out of this? Jessica said. This is between Kyle and JR. And you? Amy Kathleen said. Enough with your foolishness. I'll take my dinner in my bedroom. 30 minutes later, Jim arrives home from Hendrick Oil. And he gets the earful from Carl and Grandma Mary together with Thomas. He takes Kyle out for some woodshed treatment about manners. Kyle! As my daddy always said, never pass up a good chance to shut up. Yeah, that's right. Bell time for you, buddy. 6:45 p.m. Thomas knocked on JR's door. And JR agrees to let him in. Normally, I would let you do this in peace. But this is the night before a Swain funeral. Your brother and that dust and blood is not going to taint Grandma's memory. Now, Miss Betsy has all of your favorites from Taco Villa that will be ready for dinner tonight at 7 p.m. Dinner that night at the ranch, of course, was Taco Villa. Taco Villa was not one of Grandma Elizabeth's favorites, but fried chicken, one of her favorites, was to be served at her funeral. 8 p.m. A wake takes place at the ranch on behalf of Grandma Elizabeth. Betsy gets a photo op with the current mayor of Ridgewood, Elwood Holyfield. Deora Ellerich, the head of the Eastern Star, greets Betsy and gives a crescent ring in memory of her mother, representing the Esser Society. I just don't think it's time at all anywhere near for a while for the reading of Granddad's will, Grandma's will, Gerald said. I can understand why you feel that way, Junior. Amy Hannon, his cousin on this Grandma's side, said, "Can't believe that Mama's having Thanksgiving in Gainesville. It's our first one away from the ranch in years," Gerald said. "Relax, there'll be plenty of Thanksgivings at the ranch again," Thomas said. "Thomas, get me some of Grandma's brandy wine." JR drinking. Oh no. "Go ahead, Jimmy. Give us some mercy. Give me the bell." "Yeah, I'm sorry, but you kind of deserve that one. You drank at your grandma's funeral." "No, in some ways I'll surround the friends." 10 p.m. JR goes and lies down in his bedroom at the ranch, which coincidentally is right by his grandparents' old bedroom. Okay. Thanksgiving Eve. Here we go. Thanksgiving Eve, 1995. 7 a.m. Cinnamon rolls are being served for breakfast at the ranch. Kyle has been up since 3 this morning, rounding the goats up in the stalls. He's busy. Thank goodness. 9 a.m. They decide to go ahead and have the funeral early. The hearse arrives. 8 pallbearers approach and take the casket of Elizabeth Swain out of the hearse at the cemetery on the North 56th. These 8 include Thomas, Micah, Austin, Tom, Kyle, Mike Fields, Frank Hannon, and Jeremy Swider, a contemporary cousin of Betsy and Tom. The pastor, Pastor Mike Oglethorpe, preached the sermon with the backdrop of John 14. The family walks away as the casket is being lowered. The first one to approach JR is Karen. "Oh, JR, I am so sorry. You must be very brave. My grandmother and I weren't that close," Karen said. "Cool to fool me, honey," Gerald said. "You fooled all of us," Gerald said. "I was there when he called you. We heard you say not to come to the funeral. Now, do you think we would do that?" "Thank God you came," Gerald said. "JR, the family car is here," Christine said. Refreshments are ready for everyone back at the ranch. 10:30 a.m. JR's having fried chicken, talking to his friends, when he overhears Betsy telling Ellen about a stroke that Grandma Elizabeth had a month ago. He was in shock and taken aback. 11:30 a.m. in Lubbock at Mass Communications Law class is over. It ends early. Kevin McDonald, along with Connie and other students like Terry Gooch and Matt Henderson, inquired to Dr. Wild about JR. I heard the news this morning. His grandmother passed away. He's gone back to the ranch for the funeral. 1 p.m. Jerry's in the den talking to Jim, Bob, Brad, and Karen, thinking about the stroke. What the hell, Jerry said. How come Mama never let me know? Cut her some slack, JR, Karen said. JR, she knew that you have your studies. I mean, everybody didn't know. She knows next semester that you have an advocacy contingent paper to write and defend. 20 to 80 pages. Jim Bob Horton said. She didn't want anything to distract you or affect you from your studies. Quit being smart pants, Jim Bob, that's annoying, Karen said. Oh, you guys settle down, please. We are here for JR. He's in mourning. I never could understand why. But his grandparents are laid to rest here, on this soil. We need to be considerate of his feelings, Brad said. Over time, with my friendship with Brad, which lasts 11 years. No, 11 years. His consideration for feelings was half and half. If someone was in mourning and lost a relative, he was a ride or die person. But oftentimes, Brad was jealous of his friend's success. Yep. "3:05 p.m. It was the process of a motorcade of Cadillacs that arrived at what was now Betsy's personal hangar, Midland International Airport. They, after everyone was searched and baggage loaded, they boarded the plane. Grandma Mary sat by JR's side, coaxing him and urging him not to go see Karen the night of Thanksgiving. The Learjet leaves the hangar, taxis down the runway, and departs for DFW Airport. 5 p.m. When the Hendrick entourage arrived at the Hendrick estate in Gainesville, JR and Grandma Mary and Carl were shocked to find the inside of the house in dark decor. I can't mean to be rude, Jim said, taking Betsy upstairs. I have to console my woman. Betsy, I'm right here. JR goes upstairs and can't help but notice that his room is decorated with some dark blue hue. He can hear his father trying to console his bitterly sobbing mother. 7 p.m. Dinner that night was leftover food from the funeral. JR had chili sandwiches, sitting with his cousins, Amy and Amy Kathleen. At the dining room, Claude walks towards Betsy, and she quickly embraces him. I love you. I want you to know that Janet and I love you, Claude said. I tried to get Betsy to go back to Washington with me, Jim said. She said no. Betsy said, we'll look out for her, buddy, Claude said. 9 p.m. The sleeping arrangements were interesting. Of the 19 bedrooms, Kyle would have his suite of 3. Kyle would be staying next to Max, Amy Kathleen, Thomas, and Rachel, and Amy. Okay. Now we're going to I think this is Thanksgiving Day. No, not. Come on, phone. November. This thing don't like me. November 23, 1995. This thing is being stubborn. Alright, I guess I'll hunt for it. Alright, we're back. This phone is just being difficult. Alright, so now we are. Let me label this. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Technology. 2 p.m., November 22nd. As Betsy is busy keeping The Gainesville kitchen staff are making the Thanksgiving fare. JR is on the phone with Kevin McDonald. Man, I'm sorry. Man, I'm sorry. If only I'd known. Dr. Wild told us your grandmother passed away. We wondered where you were. And to be honest with you, you got pretty scared. I don't know, Kevin. Just right after the pizza dinner with Kristen, I closed my eyes. I sensed that something was deeply wrong. The saying was what it was from my granddad. The difference is my wild party phase is over. My wild power party phase is over. I cried like a baby. 4 p.m. JR is sitting out front of the Gainesville estate, moping, when a blue Ford Escort, owned by Ken's mother, pulled into the drive. Oh man, what in the world are you doing? Are you waiting for? Let's go, Ken said. I'm taking you out to dinner. Wait, how did you? I got Mom to let me borrow her car before tight-fisted Papa Bear could look at her receipts at the gas pump, Ken said. Now we're going to Kentucky Belle. 6 p.m. Kentucky Belle, Waxahachie, Texas. JR sits down with some of his favorites, handpicked by Ken. Combination burritos, chalupas, enchilito, cheesy Mexican pizza, and the Sprite with cinnamon bread to top it off. Please, man, don't pull that disappearing act again, Brent said. I said cut him some slack, Brent, Ken said. Man lost his grandmother. I'm sorry, man. I felt the same way when Grandma Clark passed away 2 years ago. The week before spring break, I had to take the weekend off to go to the funeral in Hillsboro. I'm having to do a lot of footwork. I called Dr. Wild and Christine Ray. I emailed Friedrich McKay, and Dr. Wild said he let Dr. Kinghorn know. Gerald said, that's pretty heavy. Now I heard the little birdie tell me that Karen Kreider is in DFW for the weekend. Please tell me you're not going after her? Brent said, I just want to know one thing. If it's true, I'll let her go. I don't want her. Man, I have been trying to tell you, Ken said. Look, I know I've been busy with my marketing management program with the MBA. But man, she's with somebody else. Let her go. 3 a.m. Another sleepless night for JR. So he and Max head downstairs to the living room. This could make for a good bachelor pad for you or for Uncle Jim, Max said. How do you know about my daddy? My daddy yammers on and on and on. Jim plays the field. You can't tell me you don't know. Sure, he's playing all nice and cuddling with Aunt Betsy. But if she lets him go back to D.C. alone, he's going to play around. Not this time. Don't tell me you got stars in your eyes. I saw you come back after dinner. I saw how when he played your advocacy cassette tape, your mom's face fell, and his face was beaming with joy. Mama said I needed to slow down and sound a little bit more plain. You can't do that too much in advocacy. Man, you're going to have to get out of this place a lot more. What do you say Friday? We take a driver to camp. Metrolinx has an indoor golf course and restaurant. Sure thing, Gerald said. 7 a.m. The family gets around with waffles for breakfast. Grandma Mary was anxious because Kyle was not with them. We need to get him a rest. He has to get up early tomorrow to take care of the ranch. Help take care of the ranch. We ain't at the ranch, Betsy, Jim said. Now he needs to be straightened out, Jim said. Immature attitude, like he's been happening lately, could really hurt someone. He can learn a few manners. But go easy on him, Jim, Mary said. Elizabeth Marie's going to be with her father over Thanksgiving because she can't stand him. His behavior, can't stand him, his behavior. Now, I'm coming back to Texas sometime before Christmas, around Christmas time. When I come back, I expect to see a lot better behavior coming out of him. Daddy, I have to agree. That's why I ain't been coming to the ranch that much anymore, Gerald said. JR, Betsy said. No, Betsy. No, Betsy. Listen to him this time, Tom said. I agree. The swing mantle and circle must not be broken. But Kyle's behavior threatens the harmony of the ranch. That's why I agree that it was okay So you can have Thanksgiving this year in Gainesville, Tom said. Listen to me, sis. Of your two boys, Daddy trained JR well. He makes his dollars, but it's too modest to talk about it. 11 a.m. As the women and the staff crowd the kitchen to prepare Thanksgiving dinner. Dang it, don't stop that. Okay, that's the morning. I gotta try my plates all again. This thing is annoying. Jerry and Max are in the living room watching the movie Free Willy. I had heard from Brad that he had seen it a couple of years ago. It was a little more than just a kid's movie, so I didn't really see the point of it. Of course, it was that Thanksgiving weekend. They got my relationship with Max got closer together. 3 p.m. The family sat down to dinner with Grandma Mary complaining because Kyle and his brood were late. JR sat and ate in the den with a TV tray all by himself, fed up with the dinner table conversation about the ranch and Kyle. Max made his way into the den to be with JR. Before long, he was joined by Thomas Jr. and his fiancée Rachel and Amy Kathleen. We're not just going to sit there and watch Uncle Jim and Betsy talk about Kyle while you sit there and have Thanksgiving dinner alone, Amy Kathleen said. Good for Amy Kathleen. Tell you what I like to do. Rachel, I'm sorry you have to hear this. I like to take Kyle back behind this house and hang him by the neck, Thomas said. I mean, seriously, why does Kyle have to be so miserable? Max said. Uncle Jim made him foreman of the ranch. That's why, Amy Kathleen said. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Thomas. But this kind of reminds me of back down home in Palestine. Thanksgiving, Rachel said. Who's going to get the last piece of Granny's pie? Who ate the last piece of turkey? When is Uncle Johnny Roy going to end up back in prison again? I sat there about from a lot of that conversation. Aloof from all that conversation. I said a few things, no doubt. But this will happen to be one of the worst Thanksgivings I've ever had in a while. 7 p.m. Max tells Grandma Mary that he is taking a limo with JR to go to Newton tomorrow to play golf at Metrolinks. Jim said he had to go see Henry Luss at his villa in Temple, Texas. Donna decides that maybe it would be best for her and Diane to take Betsy shopping for Christmas and otherwise. Okay. Interesting. There we go. Dang it, what the heck? It's somewhere, I just gotta find it. Nope. It's somewhere. Is it this one? No. Dang it, why can't I find it? This is driving me crazy. Okay. Okay, so we're not far out, I don't think. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. The good stuff. The good stuff. November 24th, 25th. All right, November 24th. After a good round of golf, JR and Max stop off for a pizza at Little Latin, a restaurant in Metrolinks. You compete well at golf, Max said. Daddy says I have too terrible a swing to see it through, Gerald said. Why do you let him criticize you like that? He loves me in his own twisted way. Hell, Mom and Dad want to move to Utah next summer. I think I want to stay in Texas to be around you. Get ready for a hell of a ride. You'll see Daddy praise and criticize me at the same time. 1 p.m. Jim arrives at Temple, Texas for lunch, and he comes to call on the mention of Henry Luss, founder of Luss Magazine. Henry's in the back study, as usual, Clara said. Jim, Henry said as Jim goes down a couple of stairs to greet him. I want you to meet a good friend of mine, Dr. John Canderson. It's a pleasure, Jim said. I see reason to meet you. My friend Henry tells me you need help, business and politically. I'm here to help. Need you to see what you can do on Phil Graham's campaign. My power and money is on Steve Forbes. You work for me. You learn one thing that I had to teach my daughter earlier this year. Nobody gives you power, and nobody can take it away. Real power is something you keep in here. Get me what I want. Henderson smiles with a wry smile. You got the bucks, and you'll get what you want. John, spare me a few hours. I need to speak to Jim privately. Henry, always a pleasure, John Henderson said, walking out of the study. What is he, pro-Clinton? Jim said. Relax. He's an independent thinker. He does the bidding of a better man, Henry said. He has twice the children. That I think you have. 2 p.m. Central. JR and Max are playing golf and what is a peaceful day at Metrolinx, knowing that their mothers and grandmother will be shopping at the madhouse of the mall. 3 p.m. Jim is getting ready to leave the mansion when Clara, Henry's wife, called out to him. Can you just go ahead and take me somewhere? Henry has enough Thanksgiving leftovers to feed Cox's army. He's going to be consulting for hours. And I know that Betsy's grieving. But I was wondering if you could take me somewhere. Come on. We'll have dinner with Constantine Bush. 4 p.m. JR and Max arrive at the house in Gainesville to find it deserted. JR went upstairs, bathed, and changed into another suit of clothes. 6 p.m. Brad and JR arrived at the condo of Lisa Malcolm, where Karen is alone. Beware winds giving gifts. I got enough pizza for everybody to like it. And Karen, you need to eat some, Brad said. Lay off, Brad, Cheryl said. Okay, you two. Let's sit here and eat pizza and watch the G-Files. This G-Files is a new series that started in the spring of 1995. It's centered around 2 main characters, Dr. Agent Jeffrey Giles and his sidekick, Dana Holly. Looking at her, I developed a crush on her almost immediately. 8 p.m. They had finished eating pizza and watching 2 episodes when Karen made an announcement. I have an announcement for you two boys. Sadly, you two can stop chasing me, Karen said, laughing. You see, I have found somebody else. I met him at the Life Relay last month. His name is Donald. He's a management consultant. His father heads a branch office in Eugene, Oregon. If he calls me, I'm going with him to marry him. Gerald's face fell. Please understand. I'm in love with this man. He can give me things that you can't. Oof, Karen, oof. I'm tempted with a bell. Show mercy, Jimmy. Show mercy. Forget mercy. The bell. Jimmy, you shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have done it. It's fine. No, it's not. 10 p.m. Brad drops off JR at the estate in Gainesville. He goes into the house to find everybody in bed. He goes upstairs to his wing and falls asleep, listening to Max next door talking to a girl on the phone. 1 a.m. JR wakes up vomiting profusely. He takes a shower and gets into another set of night clothes to go to bed. 5 a.m. Christine goes downstairs to watch Idiotic, a comedy adventure popular for kids hers and Max's age. Over Thanksgiving, Max had told Christine about it. 7 a.m. Breakfast with omelets. Any idea? Any idea when the kid idiot came in last night? Kyle said. You watch your manners, Kyle, Grandma Mary said. I woke him this morning to hear JR throwing up bad. Told him not to get in a little late with Karen, Jim said. Relax, Jim. You're out of the loop, Betsy said. She's seeing somebody else. 9 a.m. As I was calling Brad and Jim Bob to cancel the lunch date with them and Karen, I couldn't help but notice that Mama was in the den putting the Christmas decorations out of storage and ordering 6 of the female servants to put up the Christmas tree and the decorations with her help. 11 a.m. In the home office, Jim gets a thank you call from Clara Less. Jim had decided to take her to a dinner at the mansion of Constantine Bush. Claire said that she was sorry that she had missed Betsy and JR and their family. 1 p.m. Grandma Mary brings JR some broccoli and rice casserole after giving him some crackers and Sprite and medicine. 5 p.m. JR was able to eat a little more. Mary Fields, wife of Mike Fields, had accompanied the family to Gainesville, and she could tell that JR had the stomach flu. Ooh, that's not good. That's not good. That's not good. 11 a.m. the 26th. Jim and Betsy go into JR's room to wake him up. With Mary Fields packing his bags, it was time for him to return to Lubbock. Betsy was going to fly with JR back to Lubbock. Jim had explained that Lucinda was leaving Lubbock to return back to the ranch to help Betsy, since she refused to go to Washington, D.C. with her husband. Carmen would be JR's chauffeur and valet, but he would have to find another secretary. Jim had assigned Mike and Mary Fields to stay in Lubbock and look after JR, and to start the talent scout search for his ideal secretary. 1:25 a.m. Since Kyle had some rodeos in Corpus Christi, Dallas, Austin, Beaumont, and Corpus Christi again, Betsy decides she was taking Andrew with her. JR was thrilled, as he wanted his little nephew to see the Texas Tech campus, even though he was only 2 months shy of his second birthday. 1:55 p.m. The plane carrying Betsy, Mary, Carl, Don, Max, JR, and Andrew taxis down the runway and departs from DFW International, bound for Lubbock International Airport. 4 p.m. Grandma Mary's station wagon met them at the airport and drove JR straight to Gordon Hall. Andrew cried when JR hugged him goodbye. Carl took his mother home. Betsy would fetch a car service to the airport, where she would take the Learjet back to Midland. 6 p.m. Kevin McDonald arrives back at the dorm, and he approaches JR. "Man, are you okay?" Kevin said. "I'm on a fix. I'm done," JR said. "No way. You conquered so much." Grandma's gone. I got worries about what's going to happen to me and my family when she does. "You're going to be fine," Kevin said. All right. Get over here. I'm going to give this .5 root beers, a station wagon, and a round of golf. JR, 4.5 root beers, a round of golf, and a pizza night with friends. All right, stay tuned, guys. Hope you enjoy listening to the J.R. Hendrick Texan Gentleman. If you like what you hear, please subscribe and become a part of the adventure. This is the J.R. Hendrick, James Hendrick Empowerment Network saying until next time, get ready for the rest of the story. It gets more somber from here.